Cleo Lane's husband, jazz musician Sir John Dankworth, sadly passed away. Now, this news came as a complete shock to the 400-strong audience at the Stables Theatre in Wavendon. Dame Cleo told them the tragic news herself, which had happened just hours earlier, shortly before performing a flawless 2-hour set, saying it's exactly what her husband would have wanted. So, when bad times call, do we have the strength, as Dame Cleo displayed, to make sure that the show does in fact go on?
Well, my deepest sympathies, of course, go to the family and Cleo. And I take my hat off to her. I really do. I've got such admiration for her doing what she did and going on and doing the show. I don't think I personally could have done it. Mainly because I hold a lot in all the time. I'm not very good at... but it sort of affects my throat. Emotion goes straight to my throat. So if I'm feeling slightly emotional anyway, it goes straight for motherhood. And I can't, you know, I can't vocally do what I'm supposed to do. So, and I just think if something drastic happens in my life, what's the point? Life's too short, you know, and I would definitely let people down to cope with my grief. I mean, I admire people who can do it, I really do, but I don't think personally that I could.
It is amazing, though, what you can achieve if you know the person in question, the loved one in question, really wants you to do it. I'm sure because, you know, Johnny wanted her to not cancel, to keep going, and their children also were performing that night. Because I was in a similar position myself, not quite as tragic as Johnny and Cleo, but my mum, a few years ago, had a really, really serious heart attack. And I had an Albert Hall performance to do the next day, and I rushed up to find her in hospital, and she was really, really, you know, at death's door, literally. And, you know, they were stabilising her and getting her settled, and you know, and she said, love, you know, she said, you've got to go back and do your show. Don't you stay up here with me now. Go on. Can't let those people down, because she's amazing, my mum. She's so strong. And I said, I can't sing, Mum. You know, I'm going to have to cancel. It was an Albert Hall. It was, you know, thousands of people. And she said, don't you dare. You get down there. You spit on your hands. You take a fresh hold. And I went, because you do as your mum says, don't you? And I was doing all right until I got to this one song, a song by Dvorak. No, it wasn't None But the Lonely Heart. It was Going Home, you know, the Hovis advert one. And I got to this terrible line, Mother's there, expecting me, Father's waiting too, and I couldn't keep going, Mick. It was like you, my voice just went. And I told everybody, I said, because you know, I thought, I'm just going to have to tell them what's going on. I said, I'm really sorry, my mum's in hospital. I've no idea if she's still alive, to be honest with you, and I just can't sing this song. So we're going to move on to the next one. Is that OK? Yes! I said, just all say a prayer for her. She's up there in Scunthorpe Hospital. My mum got 2,000 get well soon cards. And a lot of prayers, and she pulled through.
That was really
well done, Mum. But I couldn't have done it if she'd not said, you get up there, girl. You know.
That's often the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, work is sometimes a great therapy. Not in a life and death situation like that. I think, you know, if where you need to be is with your loved one, then that's exactly where you should be. But I think if you've got tough times in your life, work can be a great healer and a great tool for you to just kind of have some time away from your problems, spend a day at work, get your job done. I'm a really big believer in don't take your problems to work. And actually, it's helped me enormously. And then when you clock off and you go home and you sit back down with your problems, you approach them with a different head, a different mindset. I think that can be really helpful.
That's a different thing, though. There's a big different thing between bereavement and a problem.
But also, you can use the job sometimes to be in denial about things. You know, like you can say, well, I'm going to work through it, and it won't matter, it won't hurt. I used to think the show must go on. I don't think it should go on now, because I think there are things that need to be faced up to. When I was on the bill, I had 2 miscarriages. I've spoken about this before, and the first one I completely ignored. I worked through it completely, just thought whatever will be, and I'll just keep going, and I didn't even take into consideration Paul's grief or anything like that, and just kept going, because you think the show must go on, and it's been instilled in me. And then I fell pregnant again, was lucky enough to get a second chance, and then I was rehearsing a scene, and I went to the loo, and then I had signs that it was happening again, and instinctively I thought, this scene is going to be rubbish now. Oh. It's just so unhealthy to think that. This scene is just not going to work. So, should I ring Paul? I think if I ring Paul, he'll say, go home. I rang him because I thought he had to know, of course. I rang him and he said, you're coming home. And I said, well, there's not any point, because whatever will be, will be. And then as he put the phone down, he rang the producers. they told me, go home. But I wasn't going to go home. I was actually...
But that experience and Paul have taught you now that sometimes there are more important things and you have to head home and deal with them.
Yeah, as they happen.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Lise. OK, today's first look at this week's competition.